Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a lovely day. This is the second in our mini interview series, co-hosted by Timothy Huls and myself, Ayelet Furstenberg. So weird to say one's own name. That's me. Um, if you saw the last one, you know that we are showcasing actors from the group who are doing creative things in crazy times. When I posted the welcome posts, a lot of you guys uh, commented with a little spiel on what you've been up to, and we were so impressed. We just wanted to showcase that. So today we have Annie Sage, and we're going to be doing about a 20-ish minute interview with her that Timothy will be conducting. Before we do, I just want to share screen with you real quick to show you guys one of the things she's been up to, which is this micro short online film festival that she's created. And as you can see, they have a beautiful website, and there's like a weekly challenge with guidelines and submission info. She's going to tell you more about that and the process of doing that. And that being said, Timothy Huls, take it away.
Okay, yes, and Annie Sage, whenever you're ready to. Hey,
Hello. Hi, thanks for having me on this.
thank you so much for being here. That was a little like raise the roof because I'm excited to talk to you about
I
all
like
this
it.
stuff. Well, I have a few questions I want to ask you, but first I just want to point to something we discussed before we started recording, and it was that like you feel completely the urge to create. What is that? Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, we were speaking right before we hit record, I think, just about wanting to encourage everyone to do something, wanting to stay active. And I love this project so much, and I love the sequestered so much as well, because it's just about, finding it within yourself to keep your own momentum going when it feels very easy to just totally stop doing everything, get back to that basic, you know, hierarchy of needs and everything, like really just take care of immediate issues, but then also have this outlet, and to surround yourself with people who are doing the same.
That's great. And so what do you need yourself to keep going? Like what keeps you motivated to keep creating?
Well, I want to be totally transparent and say I'm very fortunate that I am able to live in Astoria where I am in the city. I'm able to not have a lot of big pressing health issues in my immediate family, in terms of how the pandemic has affected people. I did lose my side job, and a lot of the performing gigs. But I do have some resources available that have let me put this much time and energy into creating the sequestered and into these creative projects. Um, so with that in mind, I just was going absolutely crazy, not doing anything, feeling totally trapped. Um, and when I floated this question to my Facebook friends, Instagram, whatever, being like, hey, if I did, would anyone want this kind of weekly prompt to make something? Because I wanted to push myself as a writer, as an editor, both things that I did not really know how to do so well at the beginning of the pandemic, personally. Um, and the response is really what inspired me to keep this going, that people wanted to have an excuse to create, and wanted to see that it was still happening.
And so you found people like in your own community, or like where did the people come from that submitted to this amazing film festival that you've
Oh.
created?
Well, I mean, it's really the people who have built the whole thing, essentially. I've just given them a little house to live in. I am part of the performing arts scene in New York in terms of filmmakers in Queens, specifically in Astoria. There's a really great local scene here that came from my involvement with the Sparrow Film Project. So I knew a couple of DIY filmmakers in that way, through acting, through performing, through improv, through comedy. Um, we were already seeing some events start to transition more online to virtual landscapes, and so everyone just kind of started sharing this information, any possible activity that was happening, that would fill that hole in a lot of the performers' lives. And yeah, it was from a lot of people that I knew at first in Astoria through comedy, through acting, and then it's really interesting, as the pandemic sort of went south, uh, I started to see more people from the South, more people from the West side of the United States, and even international creators start to submit to the festival as people were finding themselves, more and more in lockdown.
And how do you get the word out to those people?
Through I don't I've taught myself a lot of social media marketing stuff that I was not really very big into before. So I've made my own graphics and everything, and just blasting on Instagram, seeing what is already happening in terms of short film festivals or quarantine films or artists in lockdown, uh, groups like Ayelet, that sort of thing, where people are just naturally clumping themselves into little groups that are trying to make it through artistically right now.
Right. And just for the viewers, what is your Instagram handle?
It's Annie-Sage with hyphen spelled out. It's the same on Twitter and Instagram.
Okay, cool. And we'll make sure to post that in the comments and make sure that
Cool.
people follow. Where does, so, I mean, one has to be so motivated and have a lot of integrity to create something like this. And I just wonder, like, where does your motivation come from?
What an interesting thing you just said. Motivation, sure, just because I think a lot of creatives feel like if they are not doing something right now, and if they're not doing something where they can immediately have that feeling of an audience, this is a really tricky time for so many reasons, from like the very serious, high stakes life or death reasons, and then also the reasons of, what's it like to all of a sudden feel invisible? What's it like to all of a sudden lose your audience, to lose your outlets, to lose your ability to perform, and then get a reaction and feel seen as a performer and then as a person, with people who are taking quarantine very seriously. And I think that my motivation was getting better as a filmmaker. I'd done some collaborations before, and the festival started as a way to keep creativity accessible even during these times, and to try and find connections across quarantines to different creatives, and then also as a way to give yourself an excuse to try something new, to not just be an actor, but to try editing, to try writing, to try all of the, lighting was something that I never really put too much thought into before this, but just to increase your own skill set.
And how did you teach yourself all that stuff? Like, what resources did you go to learn all those new skills?
Well, I was, at the beginning of the pandemic, I had the same old busted MacBook that I'd had for a very long time and had already gotten refurbished at the beginning. So I finally invested in a new computer, which was very, very helpful. I'm very thankful for that, since everything has gone online. Just having the physical space of an apartment where you are able to set stuff up, have some sort of backdrop, or, have the quiet to record something. Just really looking at what you have available,
Did you, in terms of backdrop, I think it's such a underrated question, and like, how did you, like, do you change out your backdrops, or how did you decide? I really love your backdrop right now. Like, how do you decide on that?
As I'm sure you know, I feel like I recognize your own backdrop. You'd probably do a lot of self-tapes, or,
This is
that
new.
sort of thing. Oh,
I got
it
this.
looks great. Very
Thank
tight,
you.
very perfect. A lot of actors were already doing self-tapes and auditions and stuff from home, and I feel like maybe had some of that equipment. I like this one. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I wanted to ask you about, you seem to have so much momentum, and like you're so prolific in what you're putting out there and what you're organizing, and I would just wonder, when resistance comes up, what does that look like for you, and how do you deal with it?
It's so interesting, and I don't. First, I love hearing you say this stuff, because I feel it. I don't know if anybody else feels like this. I'm sure they do. But if you're not talking about what it is that you're doing and what it is that you're creating, nobody is going to know right now. We're not somewhere where you can be at a theater and then you happen to stick around for the second show. And then you just like bump into new random people. You have to constantly be talking about what it is that you're doing, sharing things with people. And that can be kind of scary if you're, transitioning from one part of, being an artist to another, or creating to another. So it feels very crazy to hear you say that, but it's very nice of you. Thank you very much. what was it that you started this out with?
I just so if there are any voices that come up that tell you not to
Oh,
make
okay.
hay, or what how do you deal with the resistance that might come up?
Um, well, I mean, everyone's kind of going through that, right? Like everything is going really well until it's not. All of a sudden, everything, like there can be a very real life event that totally inserts itself into your plan for the week. Can't meet that deadline, or you can't keep things going, or you plan to film on this day, and then all of a sudden there's an emergency and you don't even know what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. Um, I Being gentle with yourself, letting yourself have some time to take a break when you need to. Um, I'm very lucky. I've been quarantining with my boyfriend, and we live together, and it's been amazing to have somebody else here who is so supportive, and who, you know, is being like just another, is being like an amazing human. I'm going to start
Mm.
talking too much about him, and I don't. He's going to hate that so much. But I'm really lucky to have another person who I love and who I trust and who loves and trusts me in this during this time, because
Yeah,
you feel
and
that
it's like
resistance a lot.
if you're gonna have a
Yeah.
partner that make sure they're supportive, and sounds like he is. That's great.
I'm sorry. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be tuning out at that point. Um,
Oh no, no, that we could personal on here. We won't ask his name. Well,
well,
I
yeah.
yo go ahead.
No, he's great, because a lot of it is I've asked him to do some stuff that he's an performer. He did improv and stuff. We do a weekly show together on a different channel that's all virtual or all live
Oh,
streaming.
what's that name?
Uh,
What's the name of
yeah,
that?
that's called Socially Distant Improv. It's really great. It's a group of us from started from an improv theater in New York City, and we have been particularly these two specific women have been building out to, I think they have like over like 5,000 followers on Instagram, but they have like over 30 weekly shows, I think, and they're amazing, and
Wow,
that's been very cool. Yeah,
that's great.
yeah. So it's all about finding these little pockets where it does. Nobody was asking for an all improv channel, you know what I mean? But people were like, hey, how do we kind of replicate the same feeling of community?
Mhm.
So little things like that are what makes it worth it more. Finding whatever community you can, whether it's through that or the sequestered, or just really making yourself feel comfortable in whatever physical space you're in.
That's great. And on the sequestered, I wanted to
Mhm.
ask you about that. It's an active film festival. I saw that you literally have a prompt today.
Yeah. We
Talk
have
about creating that, and yeah, please.
yeah, absolutely. So we have a weekly prompt, and you can use that to write whatever it is. Every submission must be filmed and written and edited and submitted that week, and it has to be done within quarantine. When this all started, everybody had different levels of how serious they were taking quarantine, how accessible things were going to be outside of their own apartment due to their health restrictions, mobility, whatever. Um, so I really wanted to find a way to keep people feeling, myself included, like you could still have this creative outlet, um, and still be trading new material and inspiration and ideas and voices with different people. Um, and so we have this weekly prompt, and it's just one word, which is probably very much from my improv and comedy background as well. Um,
That's great.
and you can use it however you want. The only limitations are it has to be shot and filmed within quarantine or your own property, and then between 1 and 5 minutes long, and totally on your phone, just to keep it as even as possible. But you can edit with different software, use whatever different equipment you have, just on your phone, inside or in quarantine, under 5 minutes.
That's great. And I saw this week's prompt is charm, which
Mhm.
I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
I could submit something. Wink.
Just 2 minutes straight, just of that.
Just me
Yeah.
fixing my hair. Oh, hi there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, no, that's great. I love it. So there's so many great things about that film festival, and how just the prompt, just the fact that you're bringing so many people all over the world together with this film festival. I want to bring it back to more how you execute like the things that need to be done for the film festival.
Mhm.
You probably set your own deadlines. I want to know a little bit more about that. And then how do you meet your own deadlines? Maybe especially when you don't feel like meeting your own deadlines.
Yeah, well, I love deadlines. If I don't have something, if I don't feel like I'm going to be lit on fire, if I don't finish something, it's so tempting to lean into just making yourself feel good in different ways right now, you know, and like just not getting out of bed or just whatever it is that you're going to do. So I love deadlines, and I love structure. And when everything got canceled back in March here in the city, um, it felt kind of like, well, like I deleted the calendar app off my phone. You know, we had a calendar on the fridge. It kind of felt pointless. We kept going up and having to erase stuff. So having something to manage and having the structure made things feel so much more manageable, and it made it feel so much more like, you know, the days weren't just wild, long, unending, terrible things that you had to just sit through. But all of a sudden, because you had the structure within it, you knew when you could play around, and you kind of opened, or for me, I was able to open my mind up in different ways because I knew that like, this is when I'm going to do it.
And so you use calendar app and anything else to?
Oh, you want to, oh, I love, okay, let's talk about this. So I do, I use something called If This Then That. If anybody is familiar with that, if we're just going down like, you know, workflow stuff, it's automated task management workflow where you can do integrations between Facebook and Twitter, but you have to really keep on it because sometimes the plugins and sometimes it doesn't always work. But for me personally, I use an app called Minimalist. It's free on iPhone, and it's just a very minimal to-do app. Since I did delete my calendars, and I do know that, like, you know, things are happening on Friday and things are happening on Saturday, and then maybe within that I'll have specific days that I need to post. But in terms of keeping organized, it's just that one specific app for the most
Wow,
part.
interesting. So you don't, do you still put the times in on the to-do list, or do you?
You can, but I mean, you said earlier, what happens if you don't always meet the deadlines? And it's, well, you know, I mean, it feels a lot like you're inside an echo chamber. And if you don't finish something, then that's your loss to bite. But
Right.
also, you know.
Do you have, well, and on to that end, do you have a sense that the world is kind of waiting for you, or there's kind of people depending on you? I mean, how does that experience?
Oh God, I mean, it's an extremely, I guess, I mean, I know, look, I know that I am organizing this festival, but I feel like, you know, we've, I don't know. I feel like that gets into like some darker territory of like, well, how important is this in the long term? How important is anybody? You know, what exactly? You don't know what everyone's priorities are. So I can do this and I can hope that it means something to people. And that's why I'm constantly blown out of the water and totally surprised when
Mhm.
someone says that it's very, very meaningful, or it's like made this such a different experience, or it's given them, you know, all of these different skills, or it's shown them these different festivals, or these, you know, it makes me, it's very strange because again, I am in my apartment,
Yeah.
you know, I'm
So
not out there rubbing shoulders and seeing immediately the effect on people. So I just have to do this and trust that it's important enough for me. So
Mhm.
hopefully it's important enough for other people.
Right, and those other people, and it sounds like you were saying before, you've really upped your social media game. And how do you engage with people on social media, and how do you promote and connect?
Uh, I mean, I love making graphics. I love graphic design and photography and that sort of thing.
Do you use
Um,
Photoshop, Canva? What do you use to make graphics?
I use Photoshop for some of them, and then Canva for the other. Canva usually for anything on that's going to go on Instagram, and then reformat it as well. I have maybe like a couple different posts that I know I'm going to do a week. I do like a word bubble with the prompts a couple days after I announce it, usually on okay, so here's my whole
Let's go through
thing.
it.
I I can so go off on a tangent, so please just redirect me if you need to. So I'll post the prompts on Saturday at noon, and I'll send out the newsletter that has the prompt, the rules, and then the films from the week before, and that's through MailChimp. But I was using Gmail before, and that was getting very confusing. And MailChimp, you can do a free account as well. On Sunday or Monday, I'll do the word cloud, which has the prompt and then all the synonyms, or just different ideas to get people inspired and
What did
starting
you
to
say?
think about it.
Word cloud?
Mhm.
What's that?
So I don't know if it's technically a word cloud, but so the prompt for last week was stamp. So I had, just different synonyms around the word. And then I made like a little border and then had the logo, but it would be like insignia or postage or just different interpretations, so that I like choosing words for the festival that have more than one interpretation or can be more symbolic or be a verb and a noun. So just to open it up as
Wow.
much as possible.
Yeah, it sounds like you really have a handle on resources and like how to just bring everything together to create what you're putting out there.
I feel like right there, how many skills and soft skills and whatever, how many things do actors already, because I'm mostly an actor, how many things do actors know just about branding themselves, just about marketing, just about posting stuff online, just about graphics, promoting their own shows, building their own website, taking pictures of themselves so it looks like they're doing something, like we know so many things that really now is the time to play with them and to start building, right? Because this whole festival started as for so many reasons. But one of them very much was like, okay, how can you put yourself in the best position possible, where you are, more, you feel like you've grown as a creative, and you feel like, you've done something that you wanted to do whenever it is that all this ends, whether or not all this ends.
Right.
So you really do have to think about what is it that you already know and how can you build off of that.
Oh, that's the soundbite.
Out of all the bullshit I've said, I get it.
No, wow, that's great. So I mean, we're just wrapping up here, and I wanted to, you've promoted so much, you shared so much that we're gonna link in the comments and make sure that people know. Is there anything that can you say explicitly like what you hope viewers engage with that you're putting out there, just to wrap it all up?
Yeah.
And I have one more question.
Yeah, absolutely. I want, so I have a website, Annie-sage.com, but it's the actual symbol of the hyphen. My Instagram and Twitter are the word spelled out. Maybe I should change it. I'm working on, I have a couple of shorts that I made through the Sequestered that I've been submitting it to festivals and have some screenings coming up, possibly virtually, probably not in person. And I'm working on a couple of writing projects. I just finished something that's coming out in the fall with experiments in opera. I wrote one of the 5 storylines that's going to be woven together into this podcast that is going to be all opera. So I wrote the script that's being turned into the libretto. Someone will know those words. But that's going to be coming out with experiments in opera this fall. And I want people to just keep creating stuff and keep talking about it. We all got to hold each other's hands and pull each other out of, all that other bullshit that happens.
Truly. Wow. I just love your commitment to community and bringing people up, and you're such a leader in that regard. And your and I looked at your content. I mean, your reels are great. Like everything is really in order. Like you got a really great thing going. And my last question is feels a little vulnerable, but I just I want to know, will you film a TikTok with me?
Oh my God, bless you. Oh my God. You did research, and it feels so weird to have done stuff that people are looking at. Don't watch that.
Too late.
Oh,
too late.
boy.
Too late. I'm a fan. Sorry. I'm not
I
sorry.
say,
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm a fan.
I'll take it. I'm such a huge fan of this whole project, and I'm so excited to get to talk with you. And thank you so much to you and Ayala for having me on this.
Absolutely.
And giving this more community, more resources.
Absolutely. And who knows, we might have you back because there's, you have so much knowledge on everything else, like acting career wise, right, Ayala?
Totally. I hope I didn't come in too early. I was like, I think that's my cue. But yeah, that was really inspiring, not just because you're doing really cool stuff as a creator, but also you have a lot of cool ways for other actors to be involved. So I hope that people have gotten inspiration in both of those angles. And if you guys are inspired, but you're also like, oh my God, in comparison, I haven't been doing anything. Don't worry. As I mentioned in the first video, we're going to be running an accountability challenge in the group September 8th, 9th, and 10th. And so I'll put the link to register for that below. I'm asking people to pre-register so I can set you up with an accountability buddy, and we're going to like pick projects and do them so that we get the ball rolling and get things done. And who knows, maybe something amazing will come out of it and we'll be interviewing you before you know it. So that's the exciting thing. And that is all I had. And thank you so much, Annie Sage and
Thank
Timothy,
you.
for doing another awesome interview. And we'll see you guys all later.